And so we were coming back to college after the summer. All right, it was our first time back, first day back even, I think. And we drove in from Milton. Our friend Jessica Bowie drove in from Hialeah, which is a suburb of Miami, one of the most dangerous suburbs in all of Florida. And we go to this golf course called Ironwood Golf Course. All right, and it's raining. I mean, it's pouring down rain the entire day. Our entire drive up there, it was pouring down rain. We get to the golf course. The golf course is absolutely drenched, and we call and we say, "Hey, can we still play?" Because I mean, we're excited to see one another, and we wanted to play golf because Jesse had just been playing golf in Colorado for a whole summer. He drove and went and visited Miami right before he came back up. Well, we go to Ironwood. They end up saying yes, and they said, "We'll give you a discount because it's rainy." Except the discount, I mean, the golf still costs $37. And after 2 years of playing Meadowbrook for $18, for 18 holes in a cart, I mean, $37 on a flooded course is criminal. And so we continue. We bite it because we're so committed to love deeply and generously toward one another. We're excited about this. So we get out on the course. We get through the first hole. I mean, I can't tell you how much mud was on our shoes, on our clothes, on our clubs. Well, we get to the second hole, and Jesse tees off, and a kart ranger comes out. Well, we also have these hooligans on the first hole behind us, and they just launched their ball right over us, way down there, because they're hooligans. And it's rainy. They probably didn't even realize we were out there. Well, kart guy comes up, golf ranger says, "Jesse," well, he doesn't know his name, but he says to Jesse, "Did you just hit at my cart?" Meanwhile, Jesse's 500 yards the other direction, shanked into the woods. He's like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, you did." He's like, "Never hit at my cart again. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to play at this course." And I mean, it was unbelievable because we got these hooligans coming on one end, and then Jesse, who's pretty new to golf, getting absolutely demeaned by a golf ranger, wrongfully convicted. What happened to innocent till proven guilty, you know? Where's the justice system on the golf course? There's a problem there, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to fix it. And we just continue around, but I mean, we were drenched by the end of it, and I'm pretty sure the three of us hated golf afterwards. So all in all, it was a successful day.
Definitely a success. I would say also it was, cart path only. Obviously, whenever it's that wet, they're gonna put in place a cart path only. And then a few holes down the line, this dude circles back around and he's looking at these hooligans who, had essentially skipped us and were playing ahead of us now. They're driving going crazy down the middle of the fairway in their carts. He pulls up to us. "Hey, you guys, I already talked to you once. You guys know that it's cart path only." I'm like, yeah, it's cart path only. It's super wet out. Why would anyone, meander from the cart path? He's like, "What do you think? I'm stupid? You think I didn't just see you guys just driving and swerving in the middle of the fairway?" I'm like, "Dude, you need to get your eyes checked, seriously." And there's some rangers and folks at golf courses that definitely have a bit of an ego. They get that special cart that says Ranger on it, and they think that makes them, dare I say, God. And so they come through and they just, I'm not saying they're all like this. I've met probably more kind and nice rangers than not. But every once in a while, you get one like this, and they just A, don't know what they're talking about, and B, are overly hostile for no reason. So, but yeah, it was wet, it was rainy. Every time you hit the ball, it was like, that loud pop, like loud smack whenever you're like when you're in the edge of the water and you're just trying to hit out of a hazard. That was every single shot. And you're just covered in the spray, the mud comes up when you hit an iron. It was pretty rough. And I don't even know if we kept score, honestly, because it was pretty bad. So
Yeah, we've had a lot of great golf adventures though, but I would say that probably wasn't one of them. Though I'm certain afterward we ended up going to Nottingham's Garden, the Chinese place.
Asian Walking Grill.
Yeah, yeah. 2 meats, 2 sides, and a drink for $5.99. The only place in America that inflation hasn't hit. It's
That's right.
pretty incredible.
That was pre-COVID. I think the last time I was in Gainesville, they had a sign for the same special, and I think it was like $6.50, something, maybe $6.90 or something like that. But even still, that's pretty darn cheap. You get the double orange chicken, double fried rice. It's just too easy.
It is. Lots of special memories. And, this upcoming week, we're going to get to do it again. Of course, we'll miss Kabowie, but you and I will be with one another, and we'll get to do a little subscriber-only content recording with our boy, Andy, who I've actually befriended. I don't know if you knew this, but Andy and we've had a couple of calls with one another, and we're just getting excited about our subscriber-only content. Learning what kind of furniture items can we take onto the course. There's a lot of opportunity.
Well, yeah, there is a lot of opportunity. I will say also, this might make it a little bit weird. I don't know who you were talking to. We're playing golf with Alec Light on Thursday. I did ask a guy named Andy to come, and he was not able to, unfortunately. So I don't know who you talked to, but somebody out there in the world is going to be playing golf with us. And I've never met this person before, because I talked to Andy yesterday and he confirmed that he could not play this week. So I don't know who this Andy fella is. Maybe he's riding in your trunk down to Sarasota, but I'm excited, bro. I'm so excited.
This brother Andy, he said he worked for a furniture company, and he seemed to know what I was talking about, and he knows the course we're playing out. And I told him our tee time, so it's this is gonna be fascinating.
You're like, Andy, remind me what company you work for. He's like, American Home Carpentry. You're like, yes, that's it. That's the one. Because I googled American Home Carpentry and called, and a guy named Andy, picked up. And so that'll be interesting when we've got Abundant Home Collections and American Home Carpentry on the same course. They're kind of duking it out.
Yeah, that's going to be special. It's like B2B competition on the course. B2B COTC. You know what I'm saying? Business to business competition on the course. And we're still working on the Memorial Tournament, right? Lots of things. There's a lot of things happening. We got a run coming up, the Alec Light Memorial Run as well. What has this past 7 days been for you? How have they been?
They've been good, man. I had it was my first full work week in a long time. And I'll be honest, next 2 weeks are only going to be 3-day work weeks for me as well. So I'm looking forward to short weeks. But this past week it was good. I think on Tuesday. So we had this I think it's law firm, maybe. And they are on the same floor as us in our office building. And they have these people that work for them. They're not lawyers. I can tell because of just the way that they are. They don't really act like lawyers. They're kind of silly, 5 o'clock on the dot. They're busting down the door to get out of there. I'm like, okay, I don't think these are real lawyers. Yeah, I just so happened to be leaving. I got to a good stopping place and I picked up my stuff, and one of my buddies from work was leaving at the same time. So we were chatting, and they have like 6 or 7 of these people. I don't know. They're legal, not helpers, elves? No, not elves. That's probably not right.
Partners.
No, not a partner. They do the research. They're like elves.
Oh, no, I know this name. It's Jesse Dirty.
Yeah.
Legal assistance.
Is it legal assistance?
Legal.
Or is legal assistance something you get? I'm getting legal assistance from somebody.
Assistant. They're assistant.
Okay.
They're my legal assistant. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the proper term. We need to talk to Ralph Waldo.
Yeah. We'll get with Jay Dirty and see, because he's a lawyer. He would be able to tell you.
You know what? He really is a lawyer as of this Friday.
He still has to take the bar.
I guess you make a good point. He's graduating law school this Friday.
Okay. Yeah, so he could call himself a lawyer, right? But I think in order to practice in Florida, he has to pass the bar, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the line is. You know what I mean?
Well, if we learned anything from Suits, the television show, our listeners have all watched that because we talked about it pretty extensively. We know that you don't need you don't need a lawyer is a state of mind, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a difference between lawyer and people who have passed the bar. What is that difference, you might ask? Well, what does a lawyer do is the first question you have to answer the question you've asked. What are your thoughts?
Lawyers represent people because the law in America is so convoluted that we have to pay people a lot of money to be able to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's like taxes, right? Nobody knows how to do taxes except for accountants. And they go to school for a long time. And even after they go to school, they still use, software that does it all for them. So I'm not convinced that accountants are real people, but lawyers, I think they are real people. And yeah, I think their purpose is to represent us in the court of law, and on other legal matters.
You make an interesting point. Is the law? You said the law is so convoluted that we have to have lawyers. Why don't you see people representing themselves in court? It's because they don't understand the law. Is that indictment, to stick on the lawyer terms? Is that an indictment on us for not knowing the laws in the country in which we reside? Or is that on the country in which we reside making the law so complicated? Is it a mixture of both, or is it just the way it is?
I don't think it's on us necessarily, but I also, I don't think it's really on the people making the laws, because you got federal law, you got state law, you got your local jurisdictions, and they all say different things. Obviously, there's a hierarchy. as far as what takes precedence, but there's a lot of, let's call them entities, that are able to make laws. And, I don't blame myself for not knowing how, memorizing all the laws. But I think it's good that we have lawyers.
Yeah, no
For
doubt.
the most part. Like if I'm wrongfully accused, I want to have a lawyer. But if I'm eating a banana and I throw the peel out the window, and then a week later someone slips on it and claims that they hurt their neck, then those kind of lawyers, maybe I'm not a fan of. Maybe maybe you just don't have good balance, and you stepped on a banana peel that may or may not have been tossed out of my window.
And that's a lesson on balance. Because banana peels are biodegradable. That's not littering when you throw it out of your window. And sometimes you'll feel weird when you're peeling an orange and you're thinking, can I throw this to the side? I'm going on a walk, but I wanted a mandarin. Well, but I need to go on the walk, and I don't want to hold on to the mandarin peel. Is it okay to throw it to the side, or is that littering?
I think a lot of people that are maybe ill-informed or even uninformed would say, what are you throwing your banana peel out? That's littering. I'm like, dude, you come back here in 2 weeks, that spot in the grass is going to be greener than any other spot in the grass. I mean, I wouldn't, if it's got a plastic sticker on it, take the sticker off and throw it out the window. Same with an orange, right? So I think as long as we're not tossing plastic out there, other crazy, like if I have like some sort of nuclear waste, I wouldn't toss that out my window. But if it's a banana peel or an orange peel, or like a kiwi peel, I would definitely, I would toss that out the window in a heartbeat. So,
yeah, it's important that what we toss out is biodegradable and fuels the environment. Let's get that word correct. Fuels. So tell me about your 7 days. How have they been?
They've been good, man. They've been good. We got off on a big tangent about lawyers and their elves that do research for them.
Yes. You were working with some elves. A lot
of these little helpers were in the elevator lobby, and we're set to go down to the first floor. And me and my buddy, who are, we're leaving work at the same time, we get over there to the elevator, and these people they're kind of immature. I'm like, y'all work at a lawyer's office. I would think they would be maybe acting a little more serious or professional. But it opens up and there's like 6 of them, like I said, and they all pile in. They're like, get in here, get in. They're like peer pressure to get in this packed elevator. So I do it, just for kicks and giggles. I kind of squeeze in there, and there's probably 8 or 9 people in the elevator at this point. It starts going down and we're packed. There's no room at all. And this one guy literally says, he's in the back of the elevator. He goes, oh man, it would really stink if I farted right now. I was like, do you think this is a simulation? This is real life, dude. You're not living in a dream. You can't just say things like that. So naturally, I pushed everyone out of the way as soon as the elevator doors opened to get out of there. I was afraid that dude was going to gas me out right there in the elevator. But I was just so surprised. I was like, man, you guys work for a lawyer's office. And this man's talking about cracking rats on the elevator like 2 minutes after he got off work. Crazy.
Hey, totally as crazy. Long as that wasn't part of their billable hours, then you're good.
Yeah, I don't know if the helpers, I don't know if they have billable hours or if they just get paid, minimum wage or something like that. But And the rest of my week was really pretty. I've got a little head cold, little
I
tickle
couldn't
in the
tell.
throat. Gosh,
You can't even tell. I mean,
I
our
have to keep
listeners
drinking
haven't
this.
heard anything.
I have to keep drinking this Dakin local chocolate milk. They make it in
Oh,
Mayaca
darn.
City. It's so good, dude. Dakin. It's local. It says here that it's fresh, local, and healthy on the bottle.
I'll tell you,
Oh, gracious.
Longmont Dairy, local dairy, it's impossible to get better. I mean, straight from the udder of the cow. I mean, you have to kind of filtrate it a little bit, but you get a local dairy shop around, get that thing delivered to you. One, you support local business, and two, it's all natural.
Yeah, you're like 24 hours removed from the udder, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, we keep getting off on these, but no, the rest of the week was pretty typical. I was really just hoping somebody would walk in my office and be like, you know what? You don't have to come into work on Friday. You can just golf. Here, let me pay for you to golf. And that didn't happen. So maybe I was dreaming, or maybe I was, maybe it was just well wishes. And I was wishfully thinking, but it didn't happen. So just had normal work week after that weird incident on the elevator. Friday night we had the Sparks over for dinner, and they've got two young kids. The older one, who's 4, maybe 5, I think 4. He loves playing with Stetson. He's like twice his size, but whenever he's goofy, Stetson just laughs and like imitates him. So they're like running around, the living room, having fun. The younger one was passed out. They were over here for probably 3.5 hours. I think he slept for 3 hours. I'm not even. They walked in. He was slumped over Jacob's shoulder. They put him on the couch, put a blanket on him, and the dude was glonked the whole time. I was a little worried about him, to be honest. I was like, this is kind of funny, but do we need to call a doctor? Do we need to, but they assured me, they were like, look, he's fine. This is obviously a late nap, so he's probably going to be up till midnight, maybe 1 a.m. So I'm like, look, it's Friday night. He can game with us, he can just ball out. So, but that was a fun time. We played this game. It's like Secret Hitler, but it's Yellowstone themed. And so you get like a character card, and we like to do the voice, say what that person would say and do what they would do. But it's pretty fun. It's a lot like Secret Hitler, like I said, but you've got like this little decoder, and you like stick, I don't know, it's almost like 3D goggles. You know about those?
No.
You don't know what 3D goggles are?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So it's like the same material, and it's like this jumbled up. The card is like all jumbled up, but whenever you slide it behind it, it decodes it, and you can like read some special message. And so that's how you're able to find out who's loyal to the family and who's disloyal. So that was a fun time. We played that game for probably an hour and a half. But it was a good time. It was really good. And then Saturday, what did we do Saturday? Saturday was super chill. I feel like this week was not very eventful, but Saturday night we went over to Andy and Karina's house for dinner. They live right down the street. So we were out and about, that morning we went and got some coffee. There's a new Fresh Market that opened up down the street. So we went and got a chocolate croissant there. And just ran some other errands, went to Goodwill, things like that. And I'm loading up Stetson, and he does not want to get back in the truck because he's already been loaded up like 2 or 3 times that day. I'm like, buddy, this is going to be the shortest trip of your life, because they're honestly like right down the road. We probably should have walked, But we didn't because I took a shower. You don't want to be sweaty. You go over for dinner. Nobody likes that. You show up, you're pouring sweat. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
Unless it's the meat sweats, then it's okay.
Then it's okay. Then it's okay. So we went over there and they had burgers and they had chicken glizzies. And it has been a long time since I had a chicken sausage glizzy.
Yeah.
But they had like feta, like Mediterranean style. There was Italian. And it was, dude, it was, I probably prefer a thick hot dog, like maybe a cheddar wurst or a Kaneka dog. But for being a sauce, like a chicken glizzy, I was pretty impressed. You ever had any of those?
I don't think I have. What was the Glizzard counter? Was there a Glizzard counter?
I was counting in my head. I think Andy had 2. And I only had, shout out Andy. He loves the term glizzy as well. So yeah. I'd love to give him the respect that he deserves because he's out there, guys like me and you, we can't, pass on to the world this nomenclature of glizzy by ourselves. And he loves it. Last time we played golf together, he bought me at the turn as just, an act of kindness. He bought me a glizzy. And so we're talking about it. I referenced, glizzies, obviously. And he starts dying laughing. He's like, bro, one of us, basically, he's like, we're the same. We call them glizzies. So from now on, anytime he eats a hot dog, he sends me a picture. And then we have a little back and forth about glizzies. So it's just so good.
Is a picture of him eating a hot dog, or is it
it's like
just a picture in general?
No, I think the last one he sent me, he went to, they were in the mall, and the little pretzel shops. I don't know if it's Annie's pretzels.
Yeah,
whatever.
Auntie Anne's, Auntie Anne's.
Auntie Anne's. I think it's French.
We are what? Enchanté.
How do you say glizzy in French?
Glizzy.
But he sent me a picture of like he got the little pig in the blanket type things. And one of the glizzies had like basically slid all the way out. And he was like, this something about this glizzy just looking suspicious.
Oh, Andy.
So I appreciate
Andy, you've done it again.
He's one of the disciples, he's an apostle. He's carrying the glizzy news out to the world.
Yeah.
So we can appreciate that. But I only had one. It was kind of a thick, it wasn't a hot dog bun. It was more of a hoagie bun. And so that really kind of got me, that kind of stopped me in my tracks, to be honest. When you got the bread ratios a little, maybe a little more than what you're used to. Looking back, I probably should have just maybe basted it with some mustard all over, gone bunless, and just down the gullet.
A yellow chicken gizzard right down the gully.
Oh yeah. But he's got a dog, a golden retriever named Brady, after Tom Brady. TB12 is what I call him. So Stetson was, he was loving the dog interaction. He would get a little excited at times, get up in Stetson's face, and he would get scared. But, 2 minutes later, I would give him a hug. It's okay, bud. And then he would immediately start chasing after the dog. So I'm like, he'll be okay, right? He'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that was Saturday. I'm trying to think what else we did. Sunday, this morning, we went to church. No Sunday school because of Mother's Day. So me and Molly and Stetson went to Another Broken Egg. I got the eggs and the grits and a side pancake. So really just a classic breakfast. And they've got some good stuff, little unique creations that they do. But it's just so hard to go away from, just a classic American breakfast. Just what you grew up on, grits, eggs, pancake, bacon. It's unmatched. Stetson was waving at every single person in the restaurant, like turning around, wouldn't even eat his food. There's just so many people in there that he had to say hello to. And then, we stood up to say goodbye, and I'm like holding him. He's leaning over my shoulder, just like he's doing that hand wave. You ever see people wave like this?
Yeah, like
it's more of a flap.
Shoe.
It's more of a flap. No, it's not a shoe. It's like 1930s when a big ship is taking off, and they're like, "Bon voyage, bon voyage." That's literally what he's doing. It's not like bye. He's doing that hand wave. I need to get him a little handkerchief that he can wave back and forth. Bon voyage. But yeah, that was pretty much our week. We went for a little walk this afternoon, but other than that, it was a pretty chill week. Really, my big news was just the elevator, the legal elves in the elevator causing some disruption in the simulation. So I immediately, once again, as soon as I got out of the elevator, I put it in my notes. I'm like, this is the most interesting thing that'll happen to me all week. So
that's 2 weeks in a row now, man. I think there's a target on you. I think the people are looking for a handsome man who carries himself well to try to make him uncomfortable.
Just do something crazy around me.
Yeah. There's some forums out there on things like Reddit and Discord, Slack even, that are just like, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the guy.
We got
Go
him.
after him with all we have. And so I saw a video on the internet where, to be quite frank, this guy was in an elevator and he did the Joker voice with a packed elevator. And it's one of the most amazing things I've seen, because it is exactly what happened to you. You're just like, I got to get off this thing as fast as possible.
Yeah, they're probably like, I got to get out of here to make sure this guy doesn't kill me. I'm like, I got to get out of here before this dude farts on me. This legal helper who's been holding it in all day,
You could prosecute.
I'd sue for assault. I'd be like, hey, do you have the contact info for like any lawyers or anything like that? A week later, he finds out he's being sued for cracking a rat on somebody in a packed elevator. It's a class action suit. There's 10 people who are suing him. Everyone on the elevator.
The old class action, man. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get to be a part of a class action, you need to be a part of it.
1,000%.
Well, actually, we can't actually share that legally because that's legal advice. And we're lawyers. So if you do need help, though, call 1-800, quite frankly. And we have lawyers to assist you.
Yeah. Rodrigo is a certified lawyer. He's passed the bar in all 50 states and Puerto Rico. So he's set. But yeah, class action suits are great, man. Great way for you to get a little cha-ching, a little jingle in your pocket, so to speak.
Good one. That's a good one with the elves. Jingle.
Oh, jingle. I can't be stopped. I signed up for one when I was like 10. They had those, I think it was on Nickelodeon. I'm watching SpongeBob and this commercial comes up. It's like, if you built boats in the shipyards, I don't know, in the New England shipyards in the 90s, and you got leukemia, give us a call. I'm like, that's me. Look, where's my cash? I don't know, how that one turned out because I haven't received a penny. But I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting, man. I'm assuming there's still, the law takes a long time to kind of iron itself out. So I'm assuming, they're still going through some proceedings and things like that.
Yeah. I was involved in a class action suit with the Nigerian prince. I got a call. From Nigeria, to be quite frank, and they asked, "Hey, do you have any money that you could help put into this class action suit?" Of course, you'd get the money you get back plus 15% of all earnings that they get. So I hand them over a few dollars, and just like you said, the law takes a while, so I haven't seen that return into my bank just yet. But that was only 15 years ago, so it could be any day now.
There you go. I will say
good things take time.
That's true. That's very true. One other thing that I forgot, when we were walking, me and Molly, Stetson was there with us as well. He was riding. But Molly started talking, we passed somebody who was cleaning out their garage, and it was on Saturday. We were going for a walk. And she was like, man, don't you just hate it when you're a kid and your dad comes into your room and he's like, all right, get on your shoes. We're about to go clean the garage or do some yard work or something like that. And she went on and on and on about how he was, about your dad. I mean, once again, I'm like, you have to know. Like, we talked about him at length the past 2 podcasts, pretty much. I'm like, anything that comes out of your mouth right now, I'm definitely going to say on the podcast. And she's just, he was militant. He would never tell me how long, like, are we going to be out here for an hour? We're going to be out here all day. And he's like, you start cutting the grass. You start reorganizing the garage. I'm like, geez, she makes this man sound like he's organized. I don't know, like a czar of some sort, just cracking the whip. It's like, golly, I've never known him to be like that. He's just, to me at least, he's kind. He bakes things. He cooks his dinner and things like that. I can't really imagine him being so militant. And I don't want to take too much time on it, but I wanted to get kind of your side of the story, because a lot of times when Molly experiences something, there's a lens, right? In everyone's mind, there's a lens that information gets processed through. So I would love to hear kind of your experience with these fun, like a spring cleaning Saturday morning with old Kenny.
Yeah. Well, you've put me in a weird spot because it's Mother's Day and we want to celebrate mothers, and Molly's a mother, but what I'm about to do is really persecute Molly. Because here's the deal, Brett. Here's the deal. You asked what a spring cleaning looked like? It looked a lot like Molly was not in the picture. All right. I can't. This is what fired me up the most as a child. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. I think this is what made me the most sad in my heart. That blackened my heart like a red fish on a bed of rice. Every single time we cleaned, every single time we set up decorations for Christmas, every single time we broke down decorations for Christmas. And Brett, this may be getting you involved. It would be, hey, I'm going to Brett's house. Hey, I can't do this because I'm going to go hang out with Brett. And Molly, being the only girl and the oldest, well, to be quite frank, my father I found to be the opposite of militant. I found my father to be quite generous in the time he gave Molly. So when I hear Molly complaining about my father being militant, I begin to complain about Molly complaining about my father being militant. Now, is my father organized and structured and asks for things to be done in an orderly fashion? I would say absolutely. He keeps you on track. If you don't do what is asked of you, let's put it this way, if you don't obey your parents, well, you're going to be disciplined. So don't bring it to me with this militant stuff. It's a discipleship. All right? You got to obey your parents. That's what the Bible says. Parents, we should disciple our children in the ways of the Lord. it's a double responsibility. But the child's responsibility is to be obedient. And so if you're being told to go rake leaves and you just keep saying, no, no, I don't want to. No, I'm going to go hang out with my friend. No, I'm going to do this halfway because, to be quite frank, I don't want to do it anyway. Well, we're being disobedient. And there's even a point of this where if we don't get up immediately, that's delayed. Delayed obedience is disobedience. We got to keep that in mind. So Molly Martin Walters, if that's your name these days, who knows what your name is anymore? We need you to repent from your conversation. Now, do I love my sister with everything I have in me? Would I be killed for her life? Absolutely. Not even a question about it. But you fired me up a little bit because that's just factual. That's what happened when we grew up. You know, I was doing double duty, sometimes triple duty, and now I'm not trying to say that to be the hero. I enjoyed the work, right? I like getting outside, my hands dirty. I get everybody doesn't like that, but we've got to be obedient, Molly. This is critical when we're children. Obedience is priority one. And if we believe our parents want the best for us, which I believe they do, then that's obedience is going to lead us more toward greatness. And greatness equals more like the Lord. And so those are my thoughts. Thank you for asking.
That's really didn't know I was going to strike such a nerve there, but yeah, I kind of wanted your side of the story because I know there's always two sides, and in this case, there's probably 3 or 4 sides of the story. But I always thought it was suspicious. It's like 9 in the morning on a Saturday. She's like, "Hey, can I come over and hang out?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. I would love that." And she was probably like, "Hey, Brett really wants me to hang out." She's like, yeah, something about yard work, but I don't even know. So that checks out. It makes a lot of sense.
Master manipulation. I mean, does my father know he was being manipulated? Absolutely.
Oh, it runs in the family, right?
Yeah. And I think to an extent, master manipulation, I think, runs in the family. I think to an extent, manipulation runs into every family. Right? At some point, we're going to break, and the breaking point looks like us wanting our own way. And it takes me back to what a child needs to do. If you are a child, it doesn't matter what you want. If your parents are asking you to do something, you've got to obey unless it leads you further away from the Lord. As a parent, your life is not about you. Right? And this is, again, across the board. It's not, this part is for children, parents, or if you're just a person. Life is not about you. If you believe in the gospel of Christ Jesus and you're a follower of his ways, it's about the Lord. And so if we're working to glorify the Lord in everything we do, you're going to see parents wanting to disciple their kids and make them more like Jesus. And you're going to see kids wanting to obey their parents because they believe the ordainment of family is a beautiful thing. And it's going to make them more like Jesus. And it's going to help them glorify God more. And so it's this beautiful two-way street. 2 paths, same street, coming from different directions, all moving upward to the Lord, I think.
That's an excellent synopsis there, really. And I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I would really love a synopsis of the past 7 days for you as well.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you. Thank you for asking. Monday, pickleball. Mando Bando and I hit the courts. Well, what happens after we hit the courts? Well, to be quite frank, I didn't eat lunch. All right. And so I was getting a little hungry. You know, you're out on the courts, it's 5:30, and here in Gainesville, it's about 95 degrees and sunny. We don't have sunscreen on because UV index is low, but the heat does take it out of you. And what rejuvenates the soul? None other than creamy jalapeno pain. And so we hit up the Chewy's Chewmeister on Monday, and that was great. Tuesday rolls around. We got Life Group, another great day. We were in Acts 26. We study Paul going before Agrippa, giving his testimony and his account. Because to be quite frank, Paul's on trial. And King Agrippa, after Paul delivers his testimony, he says, look, I was a Jew of the Jews, which basically means I did everything the Jewish person would need to. I boasted in my Jewness, meaning I followed all the laws, and they had 623 or 631. I forget the exact number. And even then, I was nothing. All right. Paul, who was Saul at the time, he killed Christians, and now he's being on trial. Get this. This is I want to say this correctly, because this was a beautiful thing that I read and came to the knowledge of. Paul was a Jew of the Jews, right? What do the Jews believe? The Jews believe that a Messiah is coming, and the Messiah will resurrect from the dead, and the Messiah is there to save the earth. But the Jews don't believe the Messiah has come yet. Jewish people, even to this day, they don't believe it. Well, Paul is on trial for being a Christian, and spreading the news of Christ Jesus, who the Jews don't believe is the Messiah. Well, Paul is pointing out to the Jews, look, you are putting me on trial for being even more Jewish than you are, because I actually believe the Messiah has come. I believe in what you want us to believe. I believe that the Messiah has come. I believe that the Messiah has resurrected from the dead, and the Messiah is here to save the world. And it's this beautiful picture. I mean, to be quite frank, it's sad because it's caused a lot of death and eternal death. But I think it's just a beautiful insight into the culture in that day of Paul. Again, he persecuted Christians. He put Christians to death, and he was proud of it. And then Christ transformed him on the path. He was blind. And we see that, this is Acts 26 we're studying, but in Acts 8, I believe, God sent this one man to go on the road to heal Saul's temporary blindness. And at that point is when Saul became Paul, right? We had the name shift when he accepted Christ. And then he says, you're going to share the gospel with the Gentiles. You're going to share the gospel with the kings. All right, so we fast forward through all this. Well, who is Paul in front of? I mean, I have goosebumps right now, but who is Paul in front of sharing his testimony with? The king, King Agrippa. Now, King Agrippa, at the end of chapter 26, he says, you would have been set free had you not appealed to Caesar. All right, Paul tried to appeal to Caesar because, to be quite frank, he wasn't given a fair trial because of his Roman background. All right, so he appealed to Caesar. Now, many people would say, why did he appeal to Caesar? Did he not believe in God's plan? But no, I would say, and I'm no Bible scholar, but it's quite beautiful when you look at it this way. Paul went before Caesar, and what did that give him the opportunity to do? Who is Caesar? Caesar's a king. Who was Paul going to share the gospel with? He's going to share the gospel with the Gentiles and the kings. Well, Caesar the king. Paul got to share the gospel with the king. All right, what happens then? Paul is in prison. What does Paul do? Paul evangelizes and shares the gospel to the people in prison. What happens to the prison guards? The prison guards accept the gospel. They share it with their co-workers, their other prison guards, and the people above them. They become Christians. Are you kidding me? Let's listen, my friends. Listen, my friends. Bad things will happen in your life, yet the Lord will use them for a great purpose. And it's just a beautiful reminder that our life is not about us. Our life is not our own. Paul suffered. Jesus suffered. We suffer. And we have an extreme opportunity to be a witness for Christ. That was Tuesday. But it got me fired up, you know? It's just fantastic. You see in Acts 26 the entire book of Acts coming together. And if you haven't read Acts in the Bible, you need to, if you want to. I'm not going to force you, but it's a very valuable book. If you don't know the Lord and you're listening to this podcast, read John and then Acts, and it's going to be beautiful. And then reach out. Reach out. We'd love to talk. Wednesday rolls around. We're in Deeper Life. Deeper Life, we're studying Christianity and other world religions. Well, what do we study this time? Any guesses?
Hinduism.
Precisely. I don't know how you knew that, but that was exactly correct. Hinduism
really?
and Buddhism. Yeah.
Let's go.
Buddhism was born out of a reformation to Hinduism. Did you know that? I didn't.
No, I didn't know that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, we have resources upon resources, and we don't use them. And I'm preaching to myself here, right? There's no reason for me not to know that. It's very valuable. Yet, I don't know why. Do I value my free time too much? Yeah, no one answers that. No one answers that. That's a rhetorical question.
You're saying that because you haven't researched Buddhism and Hinduism, are they related?
Well, that's just a thought that came to mind because I didn't research that. Not because I'm not saying that I need to use my free time to research Hinduism and Buddhism, but the fact that I didn't know it made me think there is great resources in our lives that will help us learn more about the world in which we live. That's what I'm saying. Nothing about I need to spend more time researching Hinduism and Buddhism.
You're like, look, folks, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of knowledge out there, okay? And you're on TikTok. You could spend your whole life gaining knowledge, and you wouldn't even know a drop in the bucket. And you're on TikTok?
Nope, because here's the path you go down. Look, here's the path you go down when you do that. You begin to make knowledge an idol. You say, because I know all of this, I am brilliant. I am the best. I know everything. And our knowledge, our pridefulness and our knowledge leads to a lack of humility. And humility leads to a response to what Jesus has done in our lives. So if we get rid of humility, then, as the kids say, we found ourselves in a bit of a hole, right? So I'm not saying go out there to get knowledge for the sake of being knowledgeable. I would actually advise against that. All right. Find purpose in your knowledge. That is critical. Does that make sense?
It makes a little bit more sense now.
All right. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, pickleball again. My goodness. Yeah, we kind of went off on pickleball this week. We played some great games. I think the night after, that was pretty chill, but great games on Thursday. Friday rolls around. Friday, I don't think I left my apartment complex. I went outside, did some running, did some movement, but it's good. It's good every now and then. This was the first weekend in a while where I hadn't needed to go somewhere or do something mission critical, and that was beautiful. I very much enjoyed the time. Saturday rolls around. Saturday, I did drive somewhere. That's right. I remember. I drove to pickleball. My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the harvest is ripe. The harvest is ripe. You get some good games. You get some good games going. You get some good conversations going. Let me just shout out Beau Burton. Beau Burton, if you're listening to this podcast, I know you're not around Gainesville, but I wanted you to know that I met another Beau at the pickleball courts. I mean, what are the chances? One Beau leaves, another Beau comes in. Can you imagine when we find a fourth Beau and the Beaux play doubles together? That would be unbelievable. We would have to record that. We would have to. But that was a lot of fun. Well, we're out there for 3 hours. All right, 9 to 12. And around the 10 o'clock hour, it was a little intense. We had these professors from Clemson University. They were visiting in from Clemson, but they were visiting their daughter-in-law's graduation. They were attending that. Well, get this. They started playing pickleball in 7 years ago. So 2024 minus 7, that's 2017. They started playing in 2017. I don't know anybody who was playing in 2017. And you could tell that they've been playing for 7 years. But get this, the subdivision they lived in, which they've been living in for 17 years, this is way too much information that I'm sharing, but I'm just telling you what I know. They've lived in this place for 17 years. They've had 4 dedicated pickleball courts in their neighborhood for 11 years. And people from Connecticut, people from North Carolina were driving down to South Carolina to go play pickleball in their 4 dedicated courts. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen.
I think revolutionary is the word.
Yeah, they set the pace, and I'm pretty sure they're professionals. They're definitely professional ping pong players. We do know that for a fact. But I'm pretty sure they're professional pickleball players because they were pretty unbelievable. But that was just an amazing time together. And what do we do after? Well, we burned, say, 1,500 calories. Mando Bando required some creamy jalapeno once more. And so we hit that thing up. The Big Red Machine and I, we tore a basket or 4 up of chips. And our waitress, man, she was on top of it. Connor, he orders Coke Zero with cherry grenadine every single time. Well, this waitress, she put an actual cherry on top.
A little garnish?
A little garnish. And she did that every single refill. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It was, would you like more cherry Coke? Yes. All right, here it is. Here's a cherry on top. I mean, unbelievable. And then Connor says, we needed more creamy jalapeno, to be quite frank. And Connor says, can we get some more, and he freezes up. and the lady, and the lady says, oh, the creamy, would you like the creamy sauce? All right. And Connor's like, yes, please. All right. So she brings the creamy sauce, also known as creamy jalapeno as the official word. But we've been calling it creamy jalapeno. It's referred to as creamy jalapeno by Brett, of course.
Of course.
Well, we're running low on chips. All right. So she brings, I mean, I'm convinced it's 2 2 shovels of chips, and she just pours them into our basket. And she said, I figured you'd need that since I got you more creamy. And it was
what a
just
statement.
it was yeah, statement of the century. I mean, unbelievable. I don't know what you say after that other than thank you, ma'am. But that was special. It certainly was.
Did she have a name?
Yes, but I'm not going to share it in order to not compromise her.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Um,
Does it start with a C?
it doesn't. It doesn't. Her name is not Creamy. But Saturday was a great day. We ended it out. We rounded it out with our time with you. I think we recorded a subscriber-only content episode. Is that right?
We did, yeah. We played a little Rocket League late at night. Recorded about an hour of content. We've got to do some tweaking on the audio because you can hear you, Beau, and Connor very well, but my audio was not really coming through hardly at all. So I think we're still in the initial stages of trying to get that figured out, but I think we're going to be able to put some pretty good content out of just the boys hanging out. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we want to serve the subscribers well. We want to serve you guys and be able to provide some funny content on a more regular basis. And I think this is a pretty good avenue to do that.
Yeah, and it's very chill. You'll get to learn a lot about who we are, and it's very sweet. It's a sweet, edifying time together, and it's kind of a play off of what we do here, right? We're committed to deep and generous love, and that's what we want to do on this podcast, in our workplace, in our marriages, in our obedience to our parents, and on Rocket League. And so I just encourage you, and again, that 4th subscriber, they haven't revealed themselves, but I will tell you this, they're a special, special person, and we love you deeply and generously. And we love our other 3 subscribers just as equally, deeply and generously. And while we're on it, let me share with you, we love all of you just as equally as our other subscribers. But our other subscribers do get a little more content that's more specialized. And so that's not a reflection on who you are. If you aren't subscribed, right? We want to be a part of your life as much as possible. And we want to invest in what you're doing in the world as much as possible. But quite frankly, our subscribers, we can invest a little more into them. And so that was awesome. Saturday night. Sunday rolls around. I'm over at the Southwest campus because if anybody knows Evan Haynes was leading worship over at the Newberry Road campus of Westside Baptist Church. And if you know Evan Haynes, you need to tell him. He sounded beautiful and he looked great. And neither of those are a lie. That is 100% truth. And we need to celebrate Evan Haynes. And we do that now. But we started a new series about the house of God. We talked about it a little bit last week. We continue in Exodus. God commands the Israelite people to build the tabernacle. And one of the things that's required to build the tabernacle is to be generous givers. And that's not necessarily financial. It could be. But that's time. That's talent. Right? And what is giving? What is generosity? It's a willingness to give. Right? And so it was a great sermon on the first part of building the house of God. And what the house of God takes, it takes a generous giver, a people that is living on mission. And that's exciting. That wrapped around the week. Went on a little run this afternoon. That was beautiful. Um, and I'll just share today's Mother's Day. We want to celebrate the mothers. And I know I love moms. Brett loves moms. We love our mothers. Um, Brett, you got anything? You got anything special to say?
Well, I think whenever I think about Mother's Day, it's just, you said the word special. I think special is a great way to put it. Because if there was no moms, nothing would be happening. All life would cease to exist. You know what I mean? And it's a bold task to assume, thinking about carrying a child, giving birth to a child. I mean, that's an action-packed couple months right there at the end, And then you're like, man, I got to raise this thing. And that's a whole other host of challenges. But, mothers, they're just, at least the mothers that I know, I'm sure there's some bad moms, but I've really, all the grandmothers, mothers, and my wife is obviously a mother. All the mothers that I grew up around, they're caring, they're kind, they know how to, they don't put up with any BS, they'll discipline you when you need to.
What does BS mean?
Bowel syndrome. It's the last half of IBS.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they don't, they're firm, but they're also kind and gentle. You know what I mean? They don't mess around when it comes to disrespect, but also, they're willing to have fun with you, and mess around a little bit. So I think, moms, they just have such a big responsibility, and they all, they just do it so well. So to all the moms out there, we love you. We think you're doing a great job. And even if it's been a while since you've seen your kids or, anything, like, your kids always love you. You know what I mean? So I think that's just something because, not all the moms out there, some moms have lost children and things like that. But there's always people that love you. You know what I mean? People that can appreciate you on Mother's Day. So I think that's important to remember. And even if you're not a biological mother to someone, I'm sure, you're a mother figure to somebody, and that's just as important.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo what you said. Mothers are, I'd say, mission critical.
Yeah, we love all you moms out there, grandmothers. We love you all. Yeah. Do you have a song of the week?
Yeah, but you go first.
Fair enough.
I insist.
What?
I insist.
Oh, I didn't know what you said. My song of the week is Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Absolute classic, very appropriate on Mother's Day. This isn't the traditional version, though. This one is by Cody Johnson. It was just released a couple weeks ago. It's a live recording. And at the end of it, he kind of changes the chorus around and says, Mamas, don't let your cowboys grow up to be babies. And I think that's a wise point to make. And I think it's especially appropriate based on, kind of where we are at as a society.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think there's a lot of, I don't really want to call them men, but I think there's males maybe that are growing up in society and maybe aren't exactly growing up. I think there's a lot of babies out there, I think was the point of the song. As far as
what is that?
No responsibility, there's no desire to There's no desire to contribute to the world. There's no desire to get a job that pays well. There's no desire to, go out and start a family, things like that. I'm not saying that's everybody. I don't even think it's, I don't even think it's 5%. But I think it's a bigger percentage than what there was, maybe a decade ago. So maybe it's our generation that's to blame. And maybe it's the phones. Here we go. I might sound like a boomer, but maybe it's the phones.
Let's ask this question. What is the next step, right? How do you become more non-baby?
You could like get a job. I think that's step number one, right? Show you maybe have a little bit of responsibility. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to hold a steady job, perhaps, And I think with that, you learn a lot of responsibility along the way. Like, hey, I can't just do whatever I want to do. Sometimes I got to make sacrifices and do some stuff that I don't want to do, And I think that'll eventually start translating into, other parts of life. Podcasting does not count unless you have 1 million followers, unless you're actually getting a paycheck from it.
What if the paycheck is like $2 a month? I mean, that's consistent income.
It is, but I don't know if it's enough income to be able to get you from the basement, if you know what I'm saying. The basement where, not saying where you currently reside, but this person that we're talking about.
But the basement could be an economical play.
It could be, but if you lived in a basement, then you might also be saying incomprehensible instead of incomprehensible for weeks on end. And then, people don't want to call you out for saying the word wrong and saying like a word that's not really real. But you're a responsible fella. You've got a great job. Look at you. You got a Christmas tree in the background. You got a lot of stuff. So, I feel comfortable telling you that incomprehensible, I don't think is a word, and you've been saying it for about a month now. And I'm fidgeting with my hands because I don't do well with these types of conversations, but it's
You're
incomprehensible. Yeah. So, I hope you take that well.
Oh, yeah. I think if we can't take, again, knowledge, right? I could have researched that. But
how are you to know?
I'm going to flip this on you. I'm going to flip this on you. Why did you wait so long?
Well, right? The first couple of times I heard it, I was very trusting.
As a brother, you need not to let me fall down bad paths. And improper grammar is not a good stewardship of my education. And so you've got to be better.
I appreciate that. I don't really know if it's grammatical. I think it's more of a vocabularical type issue. But yeah, the first couple of times I heard it, I was like, surely surely that's a word. And then I just looked it up because you said it a third time and I was really, really questioning it. And I don't think it's a word.
But if it was, what would it mean?
I mean,
to me,
probably
it would
the same thing as incomprehensible, I would think.
An inability to comprehend.
Right. And that's different from incomprehensible how?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm saying if it were a word, that's what it would mean. Just breaking down the structure of the word.
Of course.
An inability to comprehend. My song of the week is Goodbye Yesterday. Goodbye Yesterday is by Grace Binion. Not to be confused with Grace Bunyan great great granddaughter of Paul.
You got me on that one.
It's a great song. You should listen to. You should listen to it.
Oh,
You got any parting thoughts for our mothers and our listeners?
no, I mean, moms, we we already talked about it. We love you all. And yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna film some subscriber only content this week, and it's gonna be a good one. Little Abundant Homes Collection tournament. So
Versus American Home Carpentry.
exactly.
Well, happy Mother's Day. We love you deeply and generously, and we're going to see you in 7 days.